Good morning. Welcome back to Reflective Practice Radio, featuring myself and Claudio. How are you, Claudio?
I am doing pretty good. How are you, man?
I am recovering.
Recovering
I'm
good.
recovering.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
is my second day in the office this week.
Okay.
I've been out of the office for days and days and days because I was contagious.
Yeah.
There was a suspicion that I was because my daughter had the flu,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't want to come to work and get everybody sick. So we did last week's episode remotely,
Right.
and that worked out. I like being at home, but
There you go. Yeah.
I also like being here, back doing the
Yeah.
things, talking to people in office.
Absolutely. Yeah.
There's a difference in productivity being here versus being at home.
Yeah.
I am locked in the entire time at home. I don't really move away from my desk too much, unless it's to go and hunt for snacks. But
Yeah.
when I'm here, I can float around. I can talk to people. I can see what other people are up to. Have meetings, go to lunch with people. That's another thing I like to do. Just and exchange information, learn
Yeah.
in ways that I cannot at home.
I love it. Yeah.
What have you been up to?
Man, I have been all over the place reflecting on all the things,
Yeah.
right? We've had conversations around my explorations with dashboards and an alternative way to think of them.
Yeah.
Because it's something I've been very big on, and it's interesting, like, oh, reflective practice, right? That's what we do here. Last night, as I'm writing down my 5-year journal,
Yeah.
right, I see a note from exactly a year ago.
Yeah.
When I wrote down, we had our AI first development experiment here, and I wrote down AI first dev experiment. I'm surprised with Cursor,
Yes.
because that was like exactly a year ago had been my first experiment with using a tool like Cursor,
Yeah.
right? Because at the time I was using Riders
Yeah.
and its AI Rider and its AI capabilities, and then I was struggling with the one thing that I was trying to get done, and I said, okay, let me try this Cursor tool that I've heard people say good things about it, and then I was blown away with the results, right? Going from a user story on that's what I fed into the tool, and then seeing something like right in front of me, I'm like,
Yeah.
that's exactly what I need. So that was precisely a year ago.
Yes.
And then the way that ties into the conversation about dashboards, so I pulled up the data. So whatever I can export from the Cursor profile,
Yes.
right, that you can see your usage, because I want to see like, what does that data tell me?
Yes.
Right?
How am I using this tool? Yeah.
Right? It does not tell me a whole lot. I came to find out, and I can pull it up here in just a little bit, because I was also looking at my Windsurf profile,
Yes.
the dashboards that they have there from the same perspective. It's like, okay, they have this dashboard thing. What does it tell me? It also does not tell me much.
Yeah.
But it's like, what questions does it bring to mind? It's like, okay, now that I see these numbers, these charts, what are the questions that I have in mind?
Yes.
So that's what I thought maybe we can explore here. I can bring up the dashboard and you can tell me like what you see.
All right.
And we can compare like, what do I see and what are the questions that come from that? So that's what one of the things I've been busy with and reflecting on the last many weeks now.
I am curious to see these dashboards because even in my own personal environment, I haven't taken time to look at them. So what I have looked at is token usage in some of the
Okay.
tools that I use,
Mhm.
and trying to tie that to a real world dollar amount.
Okay.
And it's been interesting to think about. And one of the tools I've used, I have used thousands of dollars of tokens.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder how sustainable that is. Because we in our organization have a shared token pool.
Right.
And more of our work is going to be offloaded onto these tools that are consuming these tokens.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder what the cost of that will ultimately be to the company, because we're not paying for these tokens ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And what are the ramifications in the future of this?
Yes.
because we are paying some third-party service to basically bear the load of our work. Of course, we're doing all the prompting, we're doing our piece of the labor, but
Yes.
the company is now sharing in those costs.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm wondering if they're going to want to eventually pass those costs along to us.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't know. We do need, it's an interesting way to look at it. Yeah.
Because we are the people who are directly benefiting from those tools.
And by we, you mean?
I mean,
We.
even, well, there's a shared we here, but
Right.
even like if we draw a smaller circle,
Mhm.
when I am using Windsurf, for example, I am directly benefiting in terms of the amount of work I am able to produce. But the company benefits from that work.
Yes, it's like,
Sure.
why is that a benefit to you? That's your work,
Yes,
right?
it has made my life easier. I would say that's a benefit.
I agree. It's like job satisfaction, I would say. You feel more
I
satisfied
do feel more
doing your
satisfied in my
work.
job.
Yeah.
There is a reduced cognitive load because where my focus is quite different. I am not dealing with syntax. I am not hunting down bugs in the way that I did in the past. Like really exhausting work that is just
Oh man, yeah.
on now.
Yes.
So that is a quality of life improvement, and it has made my job less difficult. So what does that mean for the value of my labor to my employer?
Yeah. Well, so what is the value? And I think it's the whole thing about like looking around and saying, okay, what is the value of your labor? How much does it cost? Who else partakes into that value? Because there's the value to the clients as well. So
Absolutely.
that has all, we need to factor all of that in.
Yes.
Right? And that's a big thing for me as far as like, because a lot of times people just think about cost,
Yeah.
neglecting the value,
Fair.
right? Because sometimes like some of the things that I enjoy is like, yeah, a lot of people might perceive that as like high cost. If they were paying for it, if I'm paying for it, why should they care?
Right.
And do they bother asking me what is the value, my perceived value of that cost? Because if we look at my perceived value is like, yeah, the value is all the way up here. The cost for me in that case, I feel it like this. For you, it may feel like, oh, that's way too high. But it's like,
Yes.
look at the value that I get.
Yes.
Right. So like, and being able to see those numbers, attaching those numbers, and understanding these different perspectives. That's the kind of stuff I would like to see in a smart dashboard.
Yes. I think there would be a lot of value in us having something like that in maybe Engage.
So Engage is our internal platform that we use as improvers, as employees of improving to understand our participation, our involvement with the company,
Yes.
our calendars, our activities, our goals, and all of these things. So yes.
I like this idea.
Yeah, so and it's very interesting. We can tap into that. So in our Engage platform, one of the things that this is so timely. The one thing that I was playing with last year that I gave user stories to Cursor and it gave me something. It was a visualization of our data, my data on Engage.
Correct.
Because I've been with Improving almost 10 years now and reporting activities, what we call our involvement activities. So when we write and publish a blog post, when we give a talk, when we record a podcast,
Show up to a meeting.
Show up to a meeting. Those are all involvement, things that we do beyond our work, our job, right? So I said, I want to look at my data because when I'm pushing that into the system, that's just data. It's just raw data, no meaning, right? Until we actually attach some meaning to it, right? I said, I want to look at that information and see what knowledge do I gain from it? What are the insights that will like jump when I see that together,
What comes to mind when I see this data?
Right, so
Visual
that's
system, yeah.
that's pretty much like the way I described it into Cursor at that time, and it created stories
Yes.
out of that. I fed it into Cursor, and then boom, comes a chart where I can see that plotted, and right off the bat, my mind already goes like, I see what's happening there.
Yeah.
For instance, I see a huge spike somewhere in 2020, and then I hover over the thing, and I see, yeah, 2020 Q2, right? Well, that was the start of the pandemic.
That's right.
So immediately it got my mind thinking, oh, here's the next question. What happened there? Oh, I know what happened. Then I have more information, right, to push into the system to document that. And I can leverage that when I'm having conversations with other people, like, oh, yeah, man, what happens when the world went crazy? Now we're working from home. How are we going to stay involved? It's like, I have an answer for that because
I have data.
I have data.
Yeah.
We've been through that. I know
That's right.
how I worked through that, what kind of benefit I got from that, how I was able to also help out others through that approach. It shows like that.
Using the past to forecast into the future.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. Let me show you, if it's okay.
Yes, please, please.
Yeah, let
We
me.
got time.
Good. Let me share. I'm gonna flip this over here and actually do the screen share. Come on. Window, that one. Right, so last week in an internal meeting that we have here, our Thought Leadership Building Public, I was mentioning about dashboards versus cockpit, because nowadays every single application needs a dashboard. But I have a problem with the so-called dashboards that don't allow me to look for answers for the questions that come to mind when I look at those numbers and charts and things, and also the ones that don't allow me to interact with that and hopefully make decisions like, oh, I see all that stuff. Now I've made a decision and I need to do something. If the tool does not let me do that, it gets me thinking like, how would I offer that in the systems that I built? So the analogy that I used was like you're at the airport and you see the dashboards there, you're seeing information about flights up in the air and their arrival times and all. There's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
You see what that information means? Like, well, it means the plane is not here. If
It's
I
all
look
the
outside,
information.
it's not there.
Yes.
Right? There's nothing I can do about it. Well, the pilot up there, they have a cockpit, right? They know the airspeed and all that. And if they see anything out of the usual, I'm pretty sure they have alerts and things that pop, and then they have the tools to course correct.
Yes.
Right? And that's been my thing. So I put out a blog post talking about that. And then I actually this morning or last night, I built this little app. So here's a tip, right? So I went into AI Studio and I said, hey, here's a blog post, read that blog post and create a little app to illustrate this point, right? So the dumb version of a dashboard, right? You go up there like, oh, total revenue, 42K, active orders, this, that, and the other. I'm looking at those numbers, right? And I may hear maybe a business person saying, oh, yeah, total revenue, that looks great. I'm like, how so? I see a number, 42,000. How do you know that that looks great? Well, because usually, we do like 30K. Now I'm looking at 42K. Oh, is that for today or for the week?
Yes.
They have something in their mind that the application does not show. And to anybody else who may have access to that site, I don't know what that means.
42 looks big to me.
Looks big. Oh, that looks pretty good, man. Right? That's a very nice lunch at Fogo de Chão, right? So I have trouble with that.
Yeah.
So a slightly better dashboard would actually indicate, yeah, that's not actually good. It's like
we're down 12%.
Right?
Yeah.
Down 12%, we're not down trade, that's how it's trading. That's the kind of information I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like it answers the question, like, is it good or bad? That's bad.
Yeah.
And this is how bad it is.
Yes.
Right?
More context.
more context, gives me a little bit so that, because that's the other thing. A lot of dashboards, they dump a whole lot of stuff. At what point we become blind to it? It's like
Yeah,
too much. I don't even know what to look at. Well, here we see something like this, like, yeah, maybe we want to focus on what's red
yeah,
because that needs work. What's green? Great. We're going to get to it later, but let's eat our vegetables first,
yes,
right? As they say. So that's a slightly better approach. A cockpit approach would be more like, not only do you bring stuff forward, but maybe you have a way to configure those thresholds.
Yes.
So I say, well, I'm a salesperson. I'm concerned with my performance today and on a daily basis.
Yes.
These are the thresholds that I want to set, and then have the dashboard react to that, right? And then once they see things like, oh, that, I have questions. They're like, what are these units that were sold? Well, bring that information to me. Don't make me go someplace else,
Yes.
because then I forget where I'm coming from. Like, bring it to me. And it may be like, oh, we oversold those things. Yeah, let's reorder those right now.
Yeah.
Don't make me go away. Like, you click on the thing and you're done with it and you move on. It's already updated. You move on to the next thing. Right. So here it has like a few more examples of what that would look like. Oh, I'm seeing a problem here. It's a quality thing. I want to resolve that. Give people the tools like right here, right now. Right. And questions that I normally ask, like, does the information that we are presenting lead to a decision? If it doesn't, why are we showing that?
Yeah.
If people don't need that to make decisions, let's not show it, because it's not valuable.
It's noise.
Exactly. And for the things that we show them, can they act on that decision from here? Right? We gave them information. We've allowed them to like ask questions to the system and get answers. Can they make a decision from here? Right? And should they? It may be something like, no, they have to go pick up the phone and have, make calls or whatever. That's fine. But if it's something that, yeah, they would click here, click there, navigate, blah, 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 you have already all of the information they need. Bring the solution to them, right? Questions, comments. You're thinking, I can tell it.
Whoa. One of the first things that comes to mind, let's say we are meeting with a client.
Mhm.
We're taking their existing website, which is comprised of lots and lots of dashboards, maybe even dumb dashboards.
Mhm.
And a lot of the dumb dashboards exist today because the people who consume them,
Mhm.
they have the context. So they know, even without the additional visual context,
Mhm.
whether 42% or $42,000 is good or bad.
Right.
So they have this internal context.
Mhm.
So taking that and moving to the next step, which is to say, okay, if someone who didn't have this internal knowledge, didn't have this context, was to look at this dashboard, what would they make of this? That's how we move from dumb to a dashboard that has more context.
Right.
And now the next question is, how do we go from the dashboard with the context to a cockpit?
Mhm.
This means categorizing what we're seeing at the dashboard level to say, should this live at the informational layer or should it live at the action layer? And knowing how to parse that out. And I believe this is something that we can get in a single meeting, just going through the website with the client, and knowing which questions to ask, which goes back to another meeting that we had where it's like, hey, are we headed in the right direction? Are we asking the right questions to suss out these answers?
Yeah.
And I believe, even in a single meeting, we could, walk through, have this being screen recorded as we're talking with the client, listening to everything, capturing the transcript, and return to them with a cockpit that is actually functional for them, where everything is at the correct layer.
Yeah.
Some things just need to be informational. Like, you don't need to act on this.
Yes.
For example, if I'm showing a clock on the screen, it's just showing the time.
Mhm.
You don't need some means of interacting and changing the time. It's just informational. Or just like the airport example, the flights are in the air. There's nothing you can do about it. It is what it is. It's just informational. But there are other things that you do need to change and action on in certain circumstances. So figuring that out. That way we're not wondering, okay, where does this live? Where should it go?
Yeah.
We have a means of like getting to the heart of that right away.
You need that conversation because even in the case of a, like, oh, showing the time.
Yes.
There are situations where it's like, yeah, they cannot change the time,
Yeah.
but the question that they have in their mind, we can help with that. So for instance, I'm a salesperson.
Yes.
For my customers, for their sales to go out today, they have to be routed by 4 o'clock.
Aha. Aha.
Right? So you don't want to say, oh, what time is it? It's more like, how much time do I have left?
Yes.
It's like,
So
like Amazon does the thing, right?
Yeah.
Order it within the next 30 minutes.
That's right.
Don't tell me what time it is.
No.
Because now you have to think about what time is it.
Yes.
The server for your local time. Tell the user, you have 30 minutes.
Yes.
That's it.
There's
That's
no confusion
insight.
about
There's
that.
no confusion.
Yes.
There you go.
Minimizing confusion.
Yes.
That is one of the criteria. There it is.
Yes.
Minimizing confusion.
Yeah. Taking into account that's like, yeah, the person may be looking at the clock, but they may not be relating to that. Oh yeah, I'm looking at my internal clock and maybe I've traveled and I'm on a different time zone or whatever. Now my mind is all messed up. It's like, I remember this when I was in Europe years ago, and my computer had not resync with the local time, and my mind was just not working because I was like 7 hours ahead, living in that time zone, but I was doing some work in Houston time. That broke my brain so bad because I was making mistakes. I was confused because it's like, okay, I'm living in one time zone, I'm working in a different time zone. I see the time here and it shows the time in Houston, but I look outside, it's still, I don't understand.
Yeah.
Right? I cannot perform what I need to do because of all these different variables.
Yes.
Whereas the system has all of that information. Let's acknowledge that and facilitate people's lives through that.
In that case, time doesn't, what's most important is now, relative to whatever thing you need to have done and when it needs to be done.
Yeah.
So Pacific time versus Central time does not matter. 10 minutes from now is what matters. Or it needs to be done in 30 minutes. That's what matters. So even if you're looking outside and it looks nighttime and in Houston it's daytime and your clock says this and the other clock on the dashboard says that, what you need is, okay, there's the now and there's this point in time in the future where this thing needs to be done.
Yeah.
And that's 30 minutes from now. And if you can see that, that is all the information you need. Everything else is noise.
Yeah. So I totally like what you mentioned about, showing those things and having those conversations. Yeah, that's been my technique. It's like, oh yeah, you're asking me for numbers. Okay, great. I'll go ahead and do maybe the dumb version of this. And I show the numbers and I look at people to see what's their reaction. Because some will go like, oh, that's not right. It's like, tell me, what did you see? Because I don't see that. Tell me exactly why you had that reaction. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And then based on that, and then I've been recording the conversations, getting those reactions, and then feeding that back into the AI tools and say, okay, we need to have answers, a better UX for that situation. Sure.
Yeah. And I want to pause even there because it's like, you're looking at the dumb version in, let's say 2020 during the pandemic, before the tools that we have now.
Mm-hmm.
As you're going through this experience with them, trying to figure out where the pain points, and you would have noticed her reaction to, wait, it shouldn't be like that. And then you say why, and then you have to stop and take notes.
Yes.
Now we're able to keep the conversation going. We don't ever have to stop beyond her explaining where the issue is, and then we move on because everything is captured.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. So there's that, and then the thing I mentioned, I exported the information from Cursor, right, to see what it gave me because it didn't give me much, and then dropped it into Gemini to build some sort of way to visualize it, right? So it shows token consumption velocity.
Yes.
And I'm looking at it like, okay, is that good or bad? Like,
right.
no idea. It's like, it's a lot of input, not as much output. Like, what does that tell me? I do not know. What I do see is the following. Like, I started using Cursor last year in March, right? Like, for real. And then here, there's this, it changed here. Something changed here. I don't know what that was.
This is in June.
So that's in June. Yeah.
Yes.
So like I think that around June, wasn't it when they introduced the auto mode? Could it be that?
Well,
Something changed there.
well, it looks like it's not that something, well, something did change.
Oh, the
but
data.
yes, we go from zero, we go from
Yeah,
nothing.
we go from nothing to.
So
okay,
it's
maybe
like,
that's
it's
when
more
we
like,
started tracking that.
that's what you're seeing.
Yes.
It's more like it went from off to on.
Yes, correct. And then the thing I've been mentioning, that's like, yeah, ever since they put auto, it's like, yeah, 87% of my use comes from auto.
Yeah.
Everything else is when I'm started like, oh, let me start experimenting with the other things when I'm doing planning.
Yeah.
Right? So it shows like that. Interesting. And then, so for about a year, I've used on one project Cursor exclusively, right? Because we have a license for that in that project. For the last 3 weeks, I decided to use Windsurf exclusively on that same project.
Yes.
Right? Experimentation. So here's the dashboard. And this is where I would like to pause and say, what comes to your mind when you see this? What are the questions that come to mind?
The first thought that comes to mind is I'm looking at percent of new code written by Windsurf, and it's 99%, which means it's virtually writing all of the code inside of the IDE. You're not writing anything manually, with the exception of some very small percentage. Total lines of code written by tabs, 62, and that accounts for this 1%.
Oh, and that is. Oh, yeah.
Yes, there's a distinction between Cascade and tab. So tab is tabbed complete.
Yeah.
Cascade is the agent writing on your behalf.
Correct.
And this is 69,000 lines of code, the 99%.
What does that tell you?
This tells me that you've become very comfortable explaining and expressing your desires with prompts and getting some feedback without having to do much manual intervention.
Yeah.
Yeah. Total ACUs used. Do they tell us what ACUs are?
No, they don't here, right? If you look it up, like, what's ACU? In the cost, like, I have searched for that. Yes. But like, what is that?
AI compute unit. Okay.
I'm like, yeah, okay. It's one of those. Like, you're giving me this information, but like, what the heck is an ACU? Explain it to me.
Yes. So if that's the question, our response to this to minimize confusion is maybe we add this informational thing where you hover over next to ACU and it'll tell you what this means. AI control compute units. Total cascade messages sent 891, and it's mostly you writing. There is write mode, plan mode, and chat mode. So I would imagine. So you just started to use Windsurf, right?
Exclusively on this project. No, I had been using Windsurf on other improving projects.
Yes.
Right? But remember, we have changed the organization thing. Yes. So the previous use does not show. So when we look at this, the last 3 weeks, that's when we've made that switch.
That's right. This is where the gap is.
And this is also where I started. I said, okay, the last 3 weeks, I'm using exclusively on this project Windsurf.
Gotcha. Total cascade messages sent, and most of them are clearly in the writing category. There's plan, there's chat, not a whole lot going on there, and then it shows the cascade model usage. Most of it is in Sonnet 4.5 with Opus as a very distant second. Okay, commands used, you're not using any commands. And
so in Windsurf, what is a command?
This is a slash command. So if you do something like slash, I would say this is, so like, if you used a workflow, for example, that should count.
But it says workflows used 221.
Command. So there is some distinction between a command and the workflow. And
Yeah.
I would imagine that, or my assumption was that a command would be used to trigger a workflow. And
But I use workflow.
right, understood.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so there's a gap here.
Yes.
Memories used 6.
Yeah.
So it is tracking memories.
It
And
is.
I'm assuming this is an automatic process that it's doing under the hood.
It is.
Okay.
It is something that I've noticed. Like I have not myself said, save this to memory.
Correct.
I've been seeing it save some things to memory that I'm like, why did you
Yes.
save that?
That is the
exactly?
question.
Yeah.
Terminal messages sent 2,820.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Total web searches 5. Total previews 165. MCP invocations 141. Okay. Tab acceptance by language, it's mostly Markdown.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if this information is particularly useful.
So so the way I read it, it's like not very useful.
Yeah.
It does show or validate its evidence for things that I've noticed. Like, yeah, 99%, yes, I hardly ever touch any code.
Right.
That is correct. It has been like that for several months now.
Yeah.
Right? The things like the difference between a cascade and tab, yes, tab is like mostly like you see, 10 on that day, but it's like 2, 3, 2. That is on Markdown.
That's right.
And that has been part of my automation of my blogging.
Yeah.
When I go into a blog post that I just published and I go there and I switch from draft to published, so it suggests and it's like, oh yeah, just
add that in.
That's it.
Yeah.
But yeah. So that's like, yes, I use planning a lot, depending, or for most has like, let me plan before I tell you to write the thing.
Yeah.
I hardly ever use it to just chat with it. When I have questions that I just want to ask questions, it's usually like I'm going to Gemini because that's where I'm asking those questions. But that's also only for the last 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
I've been experimenting with different models in Windsurf. Sometimes I go to like, let me use the fast one because I'm just doing something simple.
Yep.
And then I see the result. I've been noticing that's like, yeah, that's not a good result. I end up going up because even though I think it's like, that's a simple request that I'm making, I see the result. It's like, oh, no wonder you're cheap.
Yeah.
Right.
Not satisfactory.
Not exactly. Yeah. Commands, like, what the heck? So this fails to me as a dashboard because, like, commands used. There's a number. Total command message sent. Like, what is a command? I do not know. Useless information right now.
They even provide an information hover, and
it doesn't tell you anything. It's like when you had like the old floppy disk for save, and you hover and it says saves the document. Like, really? Right? It's like, give me more. Workflows used. Like the same things, like that does not enrich my understanding. It does not give me better knowledge, better insight, nothing. What would be better insights? Like, oh, great. 221.
Yes.
Which ones?
Yes.
Like, which ones are the ones that I'm using the most?
That's right.
I do not know. I have no visibility into that. It has that information because it's counting, it's telling up that. Give me access to that.
Yes.
That would help me. That number doesn't. Memory is used. Oh, you save that? Yeah. Edited, created, like CRUD. Okay, it's CRUD for memories. Great. How is it using? Yeah. Why has it decided to save those in memories? Those are the next questions that I'm asking when I see that. Mm-hmm. Terminal message is sent. Okay, is that good or bad? What does that mean exactly? Why did they decide to show that to me? Somebody made that decision. Oh, we need to show that number. Okay, do you know what that number means? Whether that's good or bad or?
Just a number, it's informational. And this happens a lot with dashboards, especially in the age of AI, because what we do is we'll say, hey, let's get a sense of all the data we're tracking about this user. and let's display it without asking, should it be displayed? What is the value? Like these questions, this is why. If we do not lead with the why, we will always come to situations like this.
And exactly. And that's why I make a point, like somewhere somebody decided to show that information. I'm pretty sure that they have a lot more that they're not showing, but they decided, let's show terminal message sent.
Yeah.
Tell us why.
Yeah.
Give the little information icon that on this one they didn't add. Like somebody made that decision to show that over everything else. Why? If they tell us why, maybe we'll go like, oh, that's why that's important.
I wonder if someone made that decision. And what I mean by that is this.
Ooh, okay.
Seriously, like because a lot of development is AI driven now. So a lot of people are doing things because they can do them, not because they make the most sense necessarily.
Okay.
Terminal messages sent. There's so much more. Like for example, with workflows used, I could have given you a blue link here to 221 as something you can click and see the top 5 most used, and then you can do something with that. Maybe you want to refine the workflows because, hey, I'm using these a lot. So let's do some refinement, or let's combine things because I see that I'm using that and using this. Oh, what if I put these together and make one chain of workflows? Terminal messages sent maybe has some value to us, but it is not immediately obvious.
That's what I'm saying.
But it is something that they're tracking, and it is something that they're showing, maybe because it's something that they're tracking, not because there's a real use for us.
And that's where I think, and I've seen that developers make those decisions either because somebody told them, show that information, just do because I told you
because
so.
I told you so, okay,
right?
Sure.
Without telling why, or developers saying, well, we have that information, let's just display.
Yeah.
Right, but never like clarifying. That's why my favorite approach is to lead the conversation with why with AI tools. So say, okay, this is the need, this is why we perceive it as a problem. Look at these spots where we have this information, this data, we're tracking that,
Right.
and come up with suggestions, a design, and tell me why you think that would solve the situation.
Sure.
Yeah, that looks really good. Yeah, do that. And then surface that to the person who's interacting with the system.
Yeah. I mean, the more you look at this, and I mean, you got pretty bars. Let's look at Cascade model usage. Even this is not very useful to me. And this is why. Anyone who comes and looks at this would walk away thinking, oh, Claude Sonnet 4.5 must be really good because he uses it a whole lot more than everything else. But if you measure Claude Sonnet 4.5 against Claude Opus 4.6, 4.6 obliterates it in every measure. But you're using 4.5 over the other. And maybe the reason is because cost. One is less expensive than the other. Sonnet 4.5 costs less, but that is not something you would know by looking at this. It's an assumption I have to make because of some context I already have about these different models. But again, this doesn't tell us much other than this is what you're using in comparison to the other things that you've been using.
Correct.
What use you can get out of it? I mean, maybe there is something. It's just not apparent to me, like what I can do with this information. Oh, wow, I'm using Claude Sonnet 4.5 more than everything else. Should I continue doing that? Have the outcomes been good? Would I get better outcomes if I were to use Claude Opus 4.6 more? You can't glean that information from looking at this.
Exactly. Yeah, because some of these things, and I've been noticing, like in Windsurf, where you make the selection, like, and I may say that wrong, but I know that like Sonnet, possibly the 4.5 or 4.6 and Opus 4.6, they have the same $3 signs there. So it's like, does it mean they cost exactly the same? So how do I make that decision? Because cost-wise, it looks like it's the same.
Because of how they're displaying the cost. are the price,
Yes.
using the dollar signs. Like,
Yeah.
if you're using, I mean, if you're comparing a model that is expensive to one that is really cheap, then you'll
Right.
see $3 signs versus one, and then
Right.
you go with the one that says one. But if
Yes.
they're similarly situated in terms of price, this dollar sign indicator starts to fall down in terms of its usefulness. Like there is a difference between the cost associated with these models, but they do not do a good job of illustrating what that difference is.
That-
Like,
Yeah, because I like as I'm hovering over that selection in Windsurf, it shows like, well, it's the $3 signs, and
Yeah.
then I see the little tooltip, and it says, well, the only thing I can see, it's not even different. I look like, oh, the context window, and they both have the same context window. So I'm
Yeah.
like,
what is the difference here?
what is the difference?
So what would you choose if you see 4.6 and 4.5 as options? Like the only real information, if everything else is the same, that you might use to choose one over the other is the number of the model. 4.6 is a newer model than
Gotta be
4.5.
better, right?
So it must be better, right? Yes. Like, and this is what I mean. Like a lot of the stuff that we display, we're not really putting a lot of thought into it. Like it again, like this is a really nice looking dashboard. Everything is well organized. The formatting is nice. I'm sure this page is responsive, for example. If you collapse it to the left, everything would fall on top of each other.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe there's an animation with the bars. They may grow and shrink. Like, look at this.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
So it's like you can make something really, really pretty, but
Yeah.
is it useful? Everything flexes around really nice. This is all information that we're capturing about the user and also sharing about the user. But is it information that is actually useful to the user?
Yeah.
And again, the more you put this under a microscope, the less value it seems to have.
Yeah.
But if we lead with whys, for example, if we were to go back to the drawing board and say, hey, if we're going to continue to display this information, we have to be able to prove out why it should be here. It has to earn its keep.
Yeah.
If you're going to live here on this dashboard, you have to earn your position.
Mm-hmm.
And many of these will go away if they were held against that standard.
Right.
They would have to.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know, for years now, I remember years ago, I would see like some softwares like, you know, UX, UI, and I'll go like, oh, this is just so stupid. What are those guys thinking? Oh, this is blah, blah, blah. I stopped doing that. And
Yeah.
whenever I have that feeling like, okay, this does not feel right. Okay. I try to document like, how would I make that better so
Yeah.
that the people who use the stuff that I build don't have the same reaction
Correct.
to things. Like what is the alternative? So like looking at that dashboard, it's like, yeah, I have the following questions. I know the data is there. You
Yes.
got the data, and somebody made a decision to put that there.
Yeah.
Whether it was an AI that put that there, that came from somebody's prompt.
Yeah.
Right? So what are the questions that that person should be asking and helping their customers answer?
This is where the value of humans who actually use these tools will always win out over AI, because
Yeah.
AI isn't using these tools. Like
Mhm.
AI will take the data that we're capturing about this user, display it all day long. But the users who look at this dashboard and have questions about what these things mean, those are the answers we need.
Yeah.
And that information informs how we move to next version of this dashboard.
Right.
But
Yeah.
we're out of time.
We are. Yes, but this was good, man. Thanks for entertaining the conversation there.
I think we should do more visuals in our meetings. I enjoy it. I enjoy. Oh man, one thing that came to mind, and I don't want to go off on a tangent. As you were showing, you taking one of your blog posts and basically converting parts of it into an application.
Yeah.
What if the entire blog, and this is a concept that is really experimental, what if for each blog post, it was an application? So
Could be.
it could, well, that's not even a question of whether it's possible. It could be.
Yeah.
So you hey, this is my blog post, and oh, wait a minute, this looks like an app. And it starts off with some text. You scroll down, and now you're interacting with something. You're interacting with the dumb version, the dashboard, then the cockpit, and you scroll down, there's more text, maybe a video, and it's like, whoa, this is a multimodal blog post or whatever. But yeah.
This is part of what I've been enhancing my blog automation, where I had shifted into having less images in my blog posts just because of where I am in that revamping my automation. Now I made that easier for me to like automate the whole, like, okay, here's where I'm gonna want some images, upload that. And also I worked that enhancement just a few days ago.
Yeah.
And then this morning I thought, well, I should turn that into an application, because that's what I would want to have in that blog post, like more visuals. I thought, well, just an app. I just built that, put it a link, and person can click through it and see.
Yes.
They read, it's like, what would that look like? It's like, here, this is what that would look like. So I will be probably tapping into that with like getting a group of blog posts that I've put on certain topics, and then feeding that into, say, AI Studio and say, hey, build me a little app that demonstrates these concepts.
Nice.
That will be probably an experiment we'll be talking about next week, maybe.
Okay. Maybe there's a demo that comes with it next week. We'll see.
That's right. Well, thanks for joining us, and hope to see you all next week.
Reflect.
Reflect.
Practice.
Radio. Bye.